Spears and Steinberg.
You know what the fuck it is?
Aries and Andy, Jew and the Jerk.
You know it's time to get this work.
The real raw, gutter, uncut cocaine. No political corrections.
Always sleep.
Fuck being awoke. We discuss politics and jokes.
Scribe, we lit.
There's levels to this shit. Before you was sucking on your mama's tit.
Aries Spears don't give a fuck.
We talk about race a lot, racism,
Sexism.
Much love to my loyal bitch bag holders.
Rollers, clip loaders.
We got them in the folders.
The whole world on our shoulders.
Spears and Steinberg.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Schwarzenegger in comedies. Of the 4 comedies he's done, Kindergarten Cop, Twins, Junior, and what was the Christmas movie with Sinbad?
I don't even remember the name of that one.
Oh, Jingle All the Way.
Okay.
Dude, I don't know that I like my action stars being funny. I saw all of them, and I just, I know they got to break up the monotony, but, and listen, I said, Junior was a rough spot for me because that's Ivan Reitman. I auditioned for Junior. I got the part. I couldn't do it because Aaron Spelling wouldn't let me out of my contract for the show I was doing, the pilot I did called Crosstown Traffic, which was a Mod Squad type of TV show. Boy, I wish, Andy, one day I got to find this. Let me date myself. I got rid of my VHS recorder, but I had on tape the pilot for that. Yo, I was a bad boy, Andy. My shit was brush cut. Yo, they put me in this mesh sweater with holes in it with a V near the neck. And I had pecs. And Andy, I was hot, nigga. Oh my fucking God, I was gorgeous.
How was the pilot though? Did you think it was going to get picked up?
I really did because it was Aaron Spelling.
And you liked the pilot though?
I loved the pilot. It was one camera, action shot.
Oh, it was one camera.
One camera, dude. It was action on location, shot all throughout Los Angeles. Matter of fact, before it no longer was that, we shot the bar scene at the Roxbury. And that was the famous nightclub that all the celebrities went to. Dude, I'm telling you, boy. Oh, Lord. But yeah, I auditioned for Junior, and I was so mad because Ivan Reitman wanted me for the part, but I couldn't get out.
Which part?
I forget which part it was, but
you were going to be.
I was going to be in that movie. I could have been in that movie.
But which one is your favorite of the comedies, even though you don't like them?
Jingle All the Way. Because at least you had Phil Hartman, you had Sinbad, but I don't know, man. Blow shit up, man. That's your lane.
Twins was great, man, because Twins, he didn't have to be as funny because he had Danny DeVito carrying the funny. And Danny DeVito, honestly, is such an underrated actor because it's Danny DeVito. He only, he's playing certain parts, but he's awesome, dude. He's such a good actor, funny, great character.
Yes, Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
And I get the comedic contrast. Okay, but I don't know. I just, I feel like if I'm paying money to go see an Arnold movie, I want what Arnold does best. Yeah. And then comedy, like, come on, dude.
But that was such a departure for him to do Twins.
They all have to do that. That's like, again, Slide. Throw mama from the train. Not throw mama. Stop or my mom will shoot.
That was
Oscar.
The worst. That's one of the worst movies ever. Stop or my mom will shoot.
No, I think Oscar's worse than that.
Oh, Oscar, you're right.
With Marissa Tomei.
Every time he tries to do a comedy.
Oh. How come Sly was more successful? I mean, Arnold was more successful than Sly at comedies.
I think that he just really knows where his limitations are and how to make that work for him. I really do. I think he understands how to make his work for him in everything that he does because he knows where to take it to. And he listens to people too. Like when he said, I will be back or I'll be back. And he's like, okay, I'll be back. And then that becomes the biggest line. And you know what was awesome? I know we're moving backwards a little bit, but just I'll be back, doing the thing. He listened to someone else. It became the biggest line of his career.
Yeah.
I would say that is the biggest
Yeah.
thing. And he doesn't try to take credit for it. He tells you exactly how it happened.
Right.
You know, that's like when you're a monster. When your number one line that is synonymous with you, and you go, not even mine.
You know, and this is why you have to respect the art and the artists that do it. Comedy is a hard muscle. It's a hard flex. And maybe one, Arnold doesn't take himself seriously. And two, when you talk like this, it's such goofiness to it that you get it. You're not buying into anything other than this silly shit. Whereas with Sly, it's like, dude, you don't really have a comedic muscle. You don't really have a comedic instinct. You're doing what's given to you on paper. And your funny is dependent on these lines.
Well, he writes, though, a lot of his...
Well, then he should stop. Because he doesn't sell comedy. Hey, and plus this, yeah. I can't.
I think what it is, though, and this is really what I think what it is, and I might be completely wrong, but in Rocky, there's little moments of humor.
But he's
Rocky
playing honest.
and because he's playing a guy that he knows isn't that smart,
Right, yes.
and he can play it honestly to that level. I think he takes himself too seriously in his own
That
right
might be it.
to be funny.
That might be it.
That's what I really think it is,
And that's-
because
and-
it
and-
shows the ability to do it.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's a real talent. That's a real muscle. That's a real flex. And unless you're Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, or guys that do this, yeah, that's hard.
And Arnold, I think, does it because I really don't believe that Arnold takes himself as serious. He's a serious person that doesn't need to take himself seriously. Because I don't think, let's reverse this a little bit. If the number one line from Sylvester Stallone wasn't his, and he actually argued with someone about that line,
Right.
we would never hear that story. I don't think that he has that within him to say it
Right.
that way. But Arnold's like, that wasn't even my line.
Right.
You know, he's honest.
Yeah.
I don't think that he takes his career seriously, but he doesn't necessarily take himself overly serious. He knows that he's just part of this. I think that's part of being this manifestation guy, is that you have to get out of your own way to be successful.
How come Sly has never had a quotable line? You know, Schwarzenegger, we said it. I'll be back. Bruce Willis, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. What is Sly's go-to line? Hey, Adrian!
That's the line, isn't it? Yeah. Isn't it?
I guess it would have to be, right? Because I don't know of anything else.
But on the other side of that, maybe that's kind of good that you don't have a go-to line, because
Well, I think that helps cement your...
but as an action person, not as a, well, even Humphrey Bogart. What was the?
What is it?
Here's looking at you, kid.
Okay.
You know, even old movies had
Right,
a line that just stood out over all the other lines.
Right. James Cagney, top of the world, ma.
So yeah, I guess
Right.
people do have always had those lines. So I don't know.
I do remember he did say in that movie, Pumping Iron, pumping is better than coming. He said that. Pumping is better than coming. And I thought, technically, you have to pump to come.
I think he said that was a little hyperbole on his part, though, too.
Okay.
But yeah, he did.
And for the record, I don't give a fuck if I did what was necessary to look that way. No. That's why it's so hard for me when it comes to working out. When people go, man, you got to make it fun. Working out should be fun. No, it's not. Sweating to me only is fun when you're fucking. Being sore, sweating, burning. There's nothing about lifting a pumping iron that's fun to me. It hurts.
No, I don't think that working out is fun. I never have, but the reward,
The results
and the reward of feeling good. Like, I feel good mentally. I
Right.
even feel better afterwards. But even though I felt better afterwards, that getting up that next day to go like on a run or go work out,
Right.
when I know it's going to hurt, I'm going to be in pain. It's hard for me to balance those two out.
It's like Patrice said in Elephant in the Room. He said, I tried to work out and change my life. And when I got done, I went, I got to come back and do this tomorrow. Something should have changed. I should have got a lump, something. Yeah, man, that's a sick, pumping. It's like coming is fun. Yeah. No, nigga, no, it hurts.
You know, when you get that big, though, I don't think that I mean, the workout is hard, but I don't
Right.
think you were in pain the same way that you are. Because when you're in good shape, I think that it doesn't affect you the same way
Right.
unless you go too far. But dude, some of these guys, I mean, you hear about those guys that are lifting too much weight and, they tear them up. A pec, I guess, is something that happens a lot to those guys. That's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
Part 3. This was for me the snooze button episode.
I don't understand why we snooze for you though. It's still important to his life.
It just wasn't as interesting to me as the beginning and the
action stars gone.
the action stars going now. Dude, remember, I don't know if you ever saw that moment, but I remember seeing that moment when he was campaigning and somebody threw the egg at him. And I thought it was genius what he said afterwards. He goes, whoever threw the egg, you owe me bacon now. Because you can't have a good breakfast with the eggs and without the bacon. I thought that was political.
Yeah.
It was political, but
it was funny.
Yeah, and I just wonder, like, come on, man, what would prompt somebody to do that? Why? That's like that footage of him when that dude drop kicked him in the back. Remember that?
Oh yeah, that.
Why would you do that?
I wonder why that isn't in this. Why he didn't even discuss
Right.
that though. Because he became political and he's conservative. And that's why people were mad, because he's conservative. But here's just something that I don't like talking about ideology so much on a personal level, where I'm talking about trying to determine someone's personality from their political ideology.
Right.
I don't think it's fair because, like this guy right here, he's conservative, but he's conservative because he comes from a background where he saw what liberal attitudes, and not that it's the same, but what he saw affect those attitudes and what became of it. And sometimes when we're yelling and screaming and people come from other places where they saw things firsthand, you got to stop and take a look at it and understand why they would have these feelings and then see where the errors are in some of the things that we might be doing. But people never want to do that. They just want to relate it to their lives. They don't want to relate to what someone else went through. I understand your life is what your perspective is, but until you can see it from someone else's eyes, especially someone who lived something as devastating as what he lived through, then you can maybe go, okay, well, I see why he sees this, but this is why this isn't this way, or this is why this should be this way. But you throw an egg at someone, what does it say? And that's what I never understood about people this way. Right. How does that benefit anybody? And then what you did is you gave him a sound bite that makes him even more popular. So it doesn't really work for anybody when they just get so angry that they can't even communicate what their real feelings are.
Right.
But I thought when he was going to be governor, it was very interesting because there's some other things that he doesn't talk about in here that I want to say before, as we get into part 3. They say that he's ADHD, like he's always constantly going. He's hyper. He's looking, but he doesn't make appointments. Like he doesn't have the same schedule. Like this at 9:00, this at 9:30, this at 10. He kind of just works his day by what he needs to do, and he gets it done the best way he can. If he has to cancel something, he cancels it. If he has to move it, he moves it to a different day. But he works for what's best for him that day. And that, I think, is pretty amazing because I wish I could get away with doing that shit.
I just never thought, saw him as a politician or what would make him want to get into that cesspool of danger.
I think he thought he could do something worthwhile.
Mm.
And, that's the other thing, too. Now, he's a conservative. He's married to one of the most elite families known for their democratic liberal views, which today, their liberal views in the 60s would not be the same liberal views as today. It would almost be considered more conservative.
Right.
And they could get along. And you're throwing eggs at him just because of his title.
Right.
It baffles me. But I love that he did it. I think that it shows really what kind of person he is. It shows that he had that the get down,
Right.
is just a small aspect of who he is.
And, I thought to myself, is it really hard to believe that he didn't grope those women, given that he's the kind of guy that would tell his future wife's mother, your daughter has a nice ass? Again, no etiquette.
And no etiquette, but yeah, I don't know. You don't know, but, watch Pumping Iron, and then you go from there.
Yeah, and then, of course, obviously not making any excuses because wrong is wrong. But I'm speaking from inexperience, but my spidey sense tells me that when you become such a big movie star and so rich and so successful, there comes an attitude of, I can get away with anything. I could do what I want, which is obviously a reckless, fucked up attitude to have. But again, I'm speaking from a position I know not of. But I would imagine something really intoxicating about that level of fame and power and wealth, married to a Kennedy, where who's stopping you? Who's saying no to you? So, again, don't know that he admitted to a degree that he did it and said he was wrong. So there that is.
But when you say, who's stopping you? It's not just about it's holding you accountable. Like you just said, like we started at the beginning of this, do you think that he goes into a restaurant or any place that he's smoking a cigar? Is anybody going to tell him no? And that's kind of a hard life to live when you have to manage other people's feelings in your space.
Right.
Because you're not, how do you reason with that? I can't do this. I do everything. Why can't I do this?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. If you're allowed to do everything that you want to do, when you're told no, it doesn't seem.
That's what I'm getting at.
It seems so off.
Right.
Because there is no accountability. Someone else deals with the after effects. Someone else, I didn't really do anything wrong. You just didn't understand what I'm doing.
Right.
I think that has, and listen, I'm not trying to get all over the place, but we see it in sports and college athletics where you're identified as a young kid as having great talent, and people are nurturing your talent, and all they're worried about is your talent, not who you are as the person or who you are as the growth. And they want you to, and you don't get a lot of no's. You get like, this is what you should be doing. And you do this and you're rewarded for doing this. And then by the time you get to college, you haven't developed your person. You developed your athlete,
right?
But you haven't developed your character. And I think that's where it's hard. I'm not talking just about athletes. I'm talking about young actors. We've talked about this before. The hardest thing for a young actor is to come up. And then if you're not the same as an adult where you're getting that same amount of attention, that has to be traumatizing to you.
Right.
So, and you see it in Hollywood a lot. So anybody who's, I think, they don't nourish the character of the person as they're coming up. I think that's really hard. But when you're making millions of dollars, no one wants to tell you you're not doing the right thing.
Sidebar a little bit, because you mentioned and using that basketball terminology. One of the greatest scenes, and I remember when we did this, when we were talking about great acting scenes, and we played the snippets from these movies, from these different movies. One of the greatest acting scenes to me, the movie Blue Chips, Nick Nolte, that press conference scene at the very end when he goes, right now there's some kid coming up in the ranks of basketball and we're all drooling over this kid because he holds our future employment in his hands. And which, you go, when you're talking about the development of the person, nobody cares about that because they care about the development of the player because there's something to gain.
Yeah, something for that other person to gain.
Right. And I love that fucking scene because from everything he breaks down is just money, gobs of money. And then at the end, he's just like, I became what I hate, the thing that disgusts me the most, a cheat. I cheated. That's a fucking awesome scene, man. I know it's a sidebar, but when you brought up the basketball thing, it made me think of that.
I'm going to leave you on the sidebar. I'm going to keep the sidebar going and ask you a question. And you can answer it or not answer it. But do you think that your development in your youth, because you had success young, do you think that somehow has been a detriment to you?
Absolutely. Yes. I talked about it with Bill Bellamy. I said, dude, I was a loner, man. I Nas this game. Nigga, I didn't have motherfuckers go, hey, young man, let me holler at you. Don't do that. Shh. So I learned as I went. So yeah, hell yeah.
But now that you're older too, do you think that has, because, and I'm not going to say it came easy, but when you're young, it seems easier because you don't even understand the impediments that you're getting past when you're young. It's just working. Do you think that if you maybe had to wait a little while longer and had some more like speed bumps along the way, things that you had to work past? Do you think you would have developed some different muscles that might have helped you later in your career?
Yeah. The shut the fuck up muscle.
That's the one that you really think is the worst one for you, right?
Yeah. And you know, the thing about it now is, you know, I feel like I'm at a place where it's like, almost like Patrice, where it's like, look, you don't like me anyway. So how much longer am I going to dance to dance? Like, you know what I mean? Not saying I'm trying to dig myself further in the hole, but obviously me doing the dance ain't going to make you. So what I'm supposed to do? Now I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Might as well say what I want to say. Even though that ain't really the best course of action. But at this point, what the fuck you know what I mean?
Dude, I completely understand because I've been on stage many times and you've heard me say it. Hey, you're not laughing at what I'm saying that I thought you might like. So let me just do the stuff that I like that I know you're not going to like.
Right.
And then I do crazy shit on stage that I know that makes
I can't wait to bring up on the next episode.
I know which one you want.
Bitches to tears.
We'll talk about that in the.
That's all I got for Schwarzenegger, man.
Is it?
That's it.
All right, you wanna just jump into Flash a little bit right here?
All right, so Andy and I went and saw the Flash
at AMC in Tempe not Tempe Marketplace, off of Mill Avenue here in Tempe, right by ASU.
Now I was pumped about wanting to see this because the previews looked fucking amazing. And of course, they have my man Ben Affleck in it as Batman.
There's going to be some spoilers in this, guys.
Yes.
So don't listen if you want to see it, and you're going to be pissed off at some of these sneak spoilers that are coming out.
Yeah. But most of the reviews online were trashing it, saying it wasn't great. And I'm looking at these previews. And I know the previews that sometimes the previews be better than the movies, but I'm just going. The previews look amazing. So anyway, off the top, let me just get your opinion. What'd you think?
I have to do this in a couple parts.
Okay.
I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was great.
I agree.
I thought it was good.
Yes.
But I will say this, and this is where I had to think about this after we saw it, and I spent a little time thinking about it. This is the most true to a comic book / movie that I've ever seen. Because if you think about all the scenes in the movie, they're comic book cells. Like I could look at this and go, that's in this is a comic book. This is this picture. This is this picture. This is this picture. And the movie plays to me like a comic book reads. And I don't even want to give this away yet, but just think about every scene when they put a little surprise in, and the very last scene, the Batman scene at the very end, that is such a comic book type of thing where you're reading the comic book and then you look at that last cell and you go, holy shit. It's so comic book done that I ended up liking it more once I realized.
So that was a good thing.
To me, it was a really good thing because these are comic book movies.
Right.
And to structure it like a comic book actually felt really good to me because I was trying to figure out what it is that I did really like about it. Right. And when I started to break it down, that's the thing that I saw and went, that reminds me of reading a comic book.
Spoiler alert. I thought it was genius that they added George Clooney, the worst Batman ever. At that ending scene. I thought that was great. Hilarious.
There's also another worst that didn't even make it to a movie. So that was great. Right. And that was great because they didn't just do it as a clip. They hung on to both of those guys as a little bit just to really let you know.
Okay.
But you know the scenes where they're going back in time and he's in the bubble?
Yes.
You don't think that looks like a comic book drawing right there where you see him and then you might see the movement in the legs?
I could kind of see it. Yeah.
That's what this movie meant to me. I actually saw a real comic book come to life.
Right.
And I didn't see a movie. I didn't see all these special effects, which there was great special effects in this. I saw a comic book. And that's the one thing that I pulled out of this that I really enjoyed. I don't know if anybody else has written about it and said this before, but that's the thing. I didn't read anybody else's reviews really. That's what I liked.
I agree. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great, but I didn't think it was bad.
The bad part is, and it really does take away from the movie, is what's the lead again?
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller and his antics and things that have happened in his past. It's just that I don't know why that hangs over the movie, but it somehow does.
I know what you mean because there's something a little, and when I say I put a lot of emphasis on the word little more than I am the second word, there's something a little creepy about him to me. And some of the things that I've seen, like I saw this one clip where I guess this girl, he had on, what did he have on? Yeah, he had on like G-string sandals. And this girl said something jokingly about his feet. And he started physically wrestling her, like getting violent. So much so that the dude recorded it, had to stop and was like, dude, she's a girl, stop. So, and he was like, he wrestled her because he got mad. So there's something a little creepy about this dude to me. Well, and I was thinking that as I was, like you said, hanging over, the whole time I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking about it.
Well, it does sit there because also for me, it's a little different too because I'm watching it. And there's like social awkwardness that he displays as the character. Right. And it's correct, but there's almost like a autistic, spectrum disorder kind of placement and then with him. And, I'm sensitive because of my son and I look at it, it doesn't really feel right to me between the character that he's trying to play, I guess, the Flash, because he's supposed to be this guy, really. He's accidentally become this superhero. And the way that he just creeps in and out of the character, yeah, it hangs on me a little bit because of what I've read from the past. So it does hang on me. And I think that if that wasn't there, would the movie have been, would I liked it a little bit more? And I might have. So I was trying to eliminate that when I watched the movie, but it just pops up because, and I think the right word that you used, there's a little creepiness in when you watch him on how he portrays the character. But I watched it and I didn't think there was anything horrible about what he did on screen. So I think I'm bringing that to this character.
Dude, I'm so fucking disgusted with DC. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing? They don't know. They're a mess. They don't know what they're doing. Like, really, dude, like, this is supposed to be the 92 dream team of superheroes. And it's just all over the place, meaning the Justice League. Ray Fisher never got a solo movie. Henry Cavill is out. The Rock with Black Adam, one and done. Fucking Jason Momoa is no longer playing Aquaman. He's playing some new DC character. Ezra Miller with The Flash. Where is this going? Fucking Ben Affleck is out. We got teased with Martian Manhunter and the Zack Snyder Justice League, but we're never gonna see that. Where's the Green Lantern? This thing is a mess. Shazam, the sequel was garbage, and the first one we got a headless Superman because Henry Cavill couldn't. Like, what are they doing?
Well, I think that's what happens when the company itself, DC isn't really. This is Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah.
I think that once it gets to a corporate movie house, people who make movies, it loses that. Marvel is lucky that Marvel still has its people still pretty much running Marvel Studios. And they're trying to stay within what that is. Because, what you're saying is, and I think sometimes the darkness of the DCs are the ones that I think you like the best. The darker
That's
DCs.
what I also was going to say. What the fuck is the tone? Be dark. It's okay.
But Marvel has figured out a way to bridge the darker pieces that they have with Galaxy of the Guardians. That movie has a little campiness, a little silliness to it, but then it still has its edge to it and still fits in.
But Guardians of the Galaxy feels like all the other Marvel movies in the sense that they know what their tone is.
You're right. There is an undertone that keeps them connected all the way through, even if Guardians of the Galaxy isn't as dark.
Dude, let me tell you what I hated. It pissed me off. First of all, I keep saying Ben Affleck to me is the best Batman ever. But what I noticed they did in this one, and it was such a cool action sequence in the beginning of this movie, which I care more about the Batman action shit that was popping off than the Flash action that was popping off. They had them both going at the same time. But they took away Ben Affleck's voice changer. The way he talked in Batman versus Superman and all the do you bleed? Ben Affleck used his real voice for this. I fucking hated that.
Did you really?
Yes! That's what I thought was one of the coolest things about him as Batman. The suit, the bulkier gray-black suit, which was a breakaway from what we've been seeing, and the voice changer. Because when he first got announced as Batman, my biggest concern was Ben Affleck's voice doesn't have a very dominant feel to it. It doesn't have a very distinct, what are they going to do about his voice? Because if they don't do something with his voice, I'm going, that's Ben Affleck in the cowl.
Yeah.
And when he spoke, he went, do you bleed? You will. I thought, that is fucking badass. Cut to, they took away the voice thing. And in that moment, when Wonder Woman comes in to help him from the guy falling into the water, it got comedic.
Yeah, they tried to have a
I
little
fucking hated that. Like, don't do this. Keep it dark. Keep Ben Affleck as dark as Batman. Why are y'all injecting comedy into this?
It was a little humorous.
It was fucking garbage.
That they didn't realize that was on his wrist and then he was being honest.
Oh, fucking garbage.
I didn't mind that because it was quick and it was it seemed kind of off to the side. What I did mind, what you're saying about Ben Affleck though, and the game of the voice, this movie, because and listen, I'm gonna throw this back to Marvel. Marvel's the one. Well, it wasn't even Marvel actually. I think it's Sony who has the Spider-Man who brought back old characters going through the different dimensions.
Right.
So we've already seen that.
Right.
So I liked how they did it in this one. I liked
with the Clark Kent, Christopher Reeves.
Yeah,
I love that.
I love that they brought back and they went deeper. But one thing that they missed: why didn't they give us the new Batman? Because it would have been awesome.
With Robert Pattinson.
So yeah, to go all the way back, like in a scene where they go all the way back, so that you see the young one, so it ties into all this other DC. That was I was wondering where that was.
Well, before and I want to get back to that, but I'm gonna put a pin in that for a second. Let me get back to that sequence. And I was going to ask you.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Dude, the Flash with the fucking saving of the babies and that seems so hokey to me. That was borderline corny. That's the best they could do.
Do you know what it really felt like to me on that?
What?
It was a corny version of Deadpool.
Right. But at least with Deadpool, that's the tone.
Right.
That's Deadpool.
That's how he plays it.
That you got the Flash, and the best action opening sequence you could give him is him saving all them babies. Get the fuck out of here.
It wasn't just saving the babies. He had to eat while he was saving the babies.
Even cornier.
Because he can't touch the babies, because if he touches the babies, they're basically going to explode or disintegrate.
Show me that.
So that's why he moves them so slowly and then puts them in.
Oh, that was
puts
garbage.
It into the, I thought I don't mind the levity that part was, but it really reminded me of Deadpool. It reminded me of the sequences of Deadpool where he's, when they do all the slow motion effects in Deadpool. That's exactly what that reminded me of. But of course, they're going to be biting off each other, DC and Marvel, and some of this stuff.
That just doesn't make sense to me. Define that to me is what you should. Don't you want to define your own? Like, look, that's Reebok. This is Nike.
Yeah, but I also think, though, too, on some of this, the Flash isn't supposed to be a superhero. He's like, again, this is where they go back and forth. He's more like a Peter Parker. He's more like a Spider-Man. He was an unintentional superhero. Mm-hmm. He has powers. This guy is an awkward guy who just happened to have this accident, and now he has this super speed. And he has to develop a suit, like Spider-Man has to develop webs. He has to develop a suit so he doesn't catch on. So that
maybe I don't know because I'm not a comic book guy. But was the Flash just Barry whatever character? Is he Goofy Klutz? That's who he is?
He's not. He's the way that I think would be the best way to interpret him is he had that klutzy and unsociable scientist guy like in the 50s. That would be.
He was always 40s. That guy.
Yeah, he was. He wasn't. You. But see, this is kind of goes to your character. You like Batman, suave, sophisticated, has a way with him. And not every superhero is going to be that. Like Peter, and you I think you buy Peter Parker because
he's a kid.
He's a kid.
Yeah.
But he's
and nothing defines that moment more than that first Tom Holland solo Spider-Man movie when the fat Filipino friend is taking disarming the suit. And he goes, why does Tony treat me like a kid? And he jumps on the bed and starts, Why does he treat me like a kid? That moment was to let you know you are a kid.
Yeah.
But this Barry Miller dude, I just wish maybe when he becomes the Flash, he becomes cool. Like when Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man, he's cool. When he's Peter Parker, he's the nerdy kid. But when he's Spider-Man, he's a cool motherfucker. I don't know. The klutziness of this dude, that bothers me.
Well, and they kind of showed a little bit about who he really is, because when he ran around, when he goes, okay, when he was going to run, when he lost his powers and he was just going to try to run fast, he didn't know he had lost his powers and he ran, and he saw how he ran and his arms were all, shows who he is. He's not a smooth running, fast, well put together person. He's a geek.
Okay.
So, but I liked that they explained that, in it about his nutrition, how this wears him down. That's why he has that sandwich.
I gotta be, yo.
They're trying to give you.
I did not like watching this motherfucker eat like that. Just dude, have you ever, when you listen to people eat and chew and watch them, some people make you want to smack the shit out of them. Hearing people eat is annoying.
I'm a loud eater, so I know, because people tell me.
Watching this motherfucker stuff his face with spaghetti and then got sauce all over his mouth. Face. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, that I didn't think was necessary. I mean, a little bit maybe if they wanted to show that he's just really hungry, but they're showing him diving. But also to that character, that was the new kid, so he isn't used to being that hungry. He's younger than the old one, and so he's throwing it in his face and he's not aware of it. But we're talking about the spaghetti scene. I thought that the description, because you're talking about this, I don't want to go too far. I thought the description of the multiverse was the best explained through this movie. How the multiverse.
Let me go back to the multiverse now. I'm so glad Nick Cage didn't happen. What a horrible choice for Superman. Visually, his face is so specific. Like Scottie Pippen's face is specific. The bally eyes, the fucking
pointy down
nose. Nick Cage almost has Scottie Pippen face. His eyes and nose are very specific. And that long hair, a la Con Air, get the fuck out of here. That would have been a horrible choice. Ugh.
What do you think about Keanu Reeves if he was Superman?
As long as he don't talk. That's it.
Up, and away would have been way different.
Up, and away. Damn, I'm going to force it. I have to save that old lady from getting hit by a bus. Oh, thank you, Superman, for saving me. Oh, everything is ruined. I have nothing left from my grocery shopping. No, ma'am, that's not true. Look, you still have your cans. Just cans.
There's.
I think if they would have made Nick Cage Superman, that would have bombed at the box office.
I don't know, because he was so popular at the time. But he doesn't exude Superman to me.
That's what I'm saying visually. Like, dude, listen. And I think I said this on the pod. Physically, Henry Cavill exudes Superman. Acting-wise, Christopher Reeves is Superman. Christopher Reeves, from an acting standpoint, was a much better Superman to me than Henry Cavill. But physically, body, comic book, Henry Cavill is ridiculous.
But one of the things that Christopher Reeves and Henry Cavill had in common was Henry Cavill wasn't like a household name as an actor.
Okay.
Christopher Reeves was a soap opera actor.
Okay.
And he was very skinny. That was him bulked up when he did that.
But even if they had been household names, they exude Superman. Nicolas Cage at one point wasn't a household name. If you'd have cast him then, it ought to have been like, ugh.
No, I did like, I think I wish that they would be able to use him as Ghost Rider.
Nick Cage.
When he did the Ghost Rider,
right.
I think it was it was put together terrible. Right. I think he could have been good at it.
I'm glad you brought that up. Now let me go back. I will defend this till the end.
Sorry, guys.
George Clooney was not a bad Batman. He wasn't a bad movie. He was not a bad Batman. And when you think about what Bruce Wayne, who he is, debonair, rich, suave, that is George Clooney. George Clooney in the Oceans movies as Danny. I forget what his last name was. The character
Danny Ocean.
Danny Ocean. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That nigga was smooth from head to toe.
The suit was bad. The script was bad.
Yeah, he was just in a bad movie, but he was a great Bruce Wayne. And he should have, he wasn't a bad Batman to me.
Well, isn't that the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger too?
The Mr. Freeze.
And Mr. Freeze is a
Dr.
terrible
Freeze.
character.
All the puns. Chill.
It was it was a bad movie.
Yeah, that's all.
I don't think that this movie is getting a fair shot. I don't know if it's because of the publicity beforehand. I don't know what it is, but there is something as we talk about it, I'm liking it more as I'm thinking about these little scenes, these little vignettes, these little pieces that they have.
I would have rather had they rescued Superman, who they thought they were going to rescue, than this super chick. Henry Cavill belonged in that scene. You had at the end in the extra scene, the credits, post-credit scene, you had Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Batman made a cameo.
Many Batmans made a cameo.
Yeah, many Batmans. But if you would have had Henry Cavill, it's like, again, how Marvel built the Avengers. You're trying to build something, but you got pieces leaving, pieces with no solo movies. It's all over the fucking place.
Because they're making it like a movie where they're getting people for one deals instead of locking them up
This
to do.
is terrible.
Do you what did you think of Michael Keaton though?
Nostalgic as a motherfucker. I grinned several times. I loved it.
He's a solid Batman.
Yes. Listen, you let most people tell it. He is the best Batman.
To me, I really do like him as Batman. It's the one I grew up on, other than the campy one from the 60s television show.
How we talked about, go back and look at the first Terminator. Go back and look at the first Jurassic Park. Here's what was badass to me. When you look at and remember, this is childhood, more teenagehood, but 1989 is when Batman premiered with Nicholson and Keaton. The fight scenes, Michael Keaton even said he hated the costume because he couldn't move his neck. He had to move his whole body.
And they put him back in that same costume on this one.
But no, he could
move his neck a little bit more, but it was still tight.
But the fighting in this one, him as Batman.
Yeah.
Up to 2023 versus 1989. The fighting in 1989 was so stiff, but because the movie was so groundbreaking, it was the first live action fucking Batman ever. It blew you away. But when you look at the fighting, dude, ooh.
But it was kind of campy too. The movie, when you watch it now, you're like, this is a silly movie. But when you really go back and you look at it, and I have recently,
right.
The Batman character is really good. And I never liked Jack Nicholson's Joker. I never thought it was that great because to me it seemed almost silly. But then when I heard interviews with him and I went back and watched it again, I'm like, dude, he really is acting his ass off. It's the suit and some of the things that they're doing that are not letting me get past it.
Right.
And once I watched it again and I was past the goofiness of it, it's really fucking good.
It is, man.
But it took me.
Now, again, 1989 versus Heath Ledger.
It's completely different because now they don't make it campy. They don't make it easy because they were making that movie. They didn't know who was going to watch that movie. They didn't know if adults were going to go to the movie or kids were going to go to that movie.
They knew people were going.
But the car who makes an appearance again, that didn't lose any traction.
Right.
The car still looked fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really liked
the worst Bat car ever was the one with Val Kilmer. All the shiny, bright lights and the goofy. Ugh.
Again, Val Kilmer still. I know people don't like him because he doesn't make a good Bruce Wayne.
Don't.
Wasn't a bad Batman, man. I'm not gonna.
To me, the worst. He was the worst.
Well, it's hard not to make him the worst, but I don't think that anybody was. Dude, I even like, and I'm gonna forget his name, the Batman that's on the television show.
Adam West.
Dude, I like his Batman. Everybody had a really. Batman
that sells on TV. I don't know that would have sold in a movie.
It would,
even though they made a movie.
He was mad that he didn't get to be in.
Well, of course he was. He deserved his. I can't do Adam West. Dude, let me tell you. I mean, obviously on the close-up scenes, you could see the wrinkles.
Oh yeah,
but I'm like, dude, if you don't really show a close-up, he could still be Batman.
He's still decent shape, right?
Yeah. And when he's in the suit,
Yeah.
the only part you see is this, the mouth. And as long as you don't do a close-up, he could still be Batman.
And what's weird about it is when they cast him, he was just a comedian.
Yeah.
He's a comedian on stage.
Oh, I know that people hated on him. They were like, the dude from Mr. Mom?
Yeah, but even he was a stand-up before that.
Right.
And then he just has that jawline that for whatever reason, when they cast it, they said, that's going to look perfect in this fucking mask.
Right.
And his personality, and again, they wanted it to be a little campy, a little funny. He was the perfect choice.
Dude, let me get to something that Patrice said, which I thought was hilarious when he was on Opie and Anthony. He goes, and we talk about the suspension of disbelief. He goes, who the fuck built the Batcave and doesn't know who Batman is? Who are the people that constructed his plane, his car, and don't know who the fuck Batman is? Who built this shit?
Yeah.
That is a great fucking question. Like, construction team put this shit together and went and left, got paid, and didn't go, yo, Bruce Wayne, Batman, yo.
Well, they kind of answered a little bit, and when Morgan Freeman is the developer of Bruce Wayne Enterprises,
Right.
and he says that they're all science experiments, and then Batman takes them over. Is basically they're built as science
Right.
experiments. But like you said with the plane, that one you see the plane and they go, "Oh, that's Batman's plane." You go, "I built Batman's plane."
Yeah, then you're like, yeah. Let me tell you who that really is. And here's my other question: how the fuck does this motherfucker have the right gadget at the right time every time when he don't even know what the situation is yet till it happens? Let's see where they have to escape before the big ball come down. This nigga just happens to have the shit that cuts through the metal.
He always has a laser to cut through metal, though. Batman always has a metal laser cutter. Always. Always. From day one, he has it.
Really?
Yeah, Batman always has a way to cut metal. You got to be able to cut metal if you're Batman.
Oh.
But you know what I did like in this one? He didn't just go, like in the 80s ones or the 90s ones, he would have just went, shh, and then the metal would have been cut.
Right.
This one, they're like, hurry up.
Right,
Like, and he's like,
right. Right.
So I liked that at least they didn't make it like he just had this super laser cutter that just did it in 2 seconds. I enjoyed all those scenes. I enjoyed all the little throwbacks too. And again, that's why I said it looks like a cell inside of a comic book, because each one of them have their own particular purpose.
Right. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
So did you like the movie or not, though? Do you recommend the movie?
Yes. It's a good popcorn eater of time.
Here's what I don't recommend about the movie. And this is, and I can leave off at this and feel good. I told you about how I feel about the movie. I liked it. I think it's worth going to see. I would not stay to the end of the credits to watch that last fucking scene. Because we waited and waited for that scene.
Right.
There's like a small village that made this movie.
That should have came up way quicker.
Because you go through every person. There's literally like 100,000 people that made this movie.
Yeah. And
you watch every one of their names. And then there's this, what is it, like 15-second?
Yeah, a little bit, probably about a minute.
But it should have been 15 seconds. And
what didn't make sense is they showed this scene with Jason Momoa as Aquaman, and he's not even Aquaman anymore. Aquaman 2 hasn't even dropped yet.
And it's not, it tries to be funny, and maybe it's a little bit funny, but I think after you wait that long to see this amount of funny,
dude, I feel so cheated. Like when you just know what could have been. You know, I got to go back to Zack Snyder's Justice League, which, again, masterpiece. But when they cut to Wonder Woman and Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne walking into the Justice League hall, and they go, there, 3 or 4 chairs, or maybe more.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, Black Adam, Aquaman, Flash, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Cyborg, Black Adam, Martian Manhunter. If they would have done it right and put them motherfuckers in the same movie a la an Avengers Endgame or Infinity War, my God, that's the 92 fucking Dream Team. And the fact that we never and will never get that. How the fuck do you screw that up?
I know you really don't. I just think they were, I don't think they screwed it up. I don't think they took all their opportunities that they had.
Oh, man.
Because there's just these little details that I just think could have been made this a lot better. But I do, again, the multiverse, watch how they explain the multiverse. I think that went really well to really cement what they were trying to do with this movie. I'm not mad at this movie. I'd definitely go see it.
Just a bit outside. Cleveland.
Jesus.
Oh, shit. That been baking for a minute, nigga.
Dude, it better not get over here.
Whew, shit.
You want me to give the dates after that?
Yeah.
When Aries is done shitting his pants, you're going to find us at Irvine Improv, July 6th through the 9th. July 13th through the 15th. I'm not even in screen because I'm avoiding this fart. So as you're watching this, here.
What happened? Did your balls drop off?
July 13th to the 15th, we're at Punchline in Sacramento, California. July 20th to the 23rd, we're at the Houston Improv. That happens to be in Texas, if you didn't know. July 27th through the 30th, we're at the Comedy Zone in Jacksonville, Florida. And then August 3rd through the 5th, we're back to our boys club, KC.
And Bastion.
Mic drop at San Diego, California. Let me throw a few more. August 11th to the 13th, we're going to be at the Raleigh Improv. That's not really in Raleigh. It's in Cary, but it's in North Carolina. August 17th to the 20th, we're going to be at the Comedy Zone in Charlotte, North Carolina. And August 24th to the 27th, we're back at the upper part of California.
Boys are back in town. Yeah. The boys are back, and they no fooling around.
And that's August 24th to the 27th. Tommy T's in Pleasanton, California. And then I'm going to follow up with this last one that I haven't said before. August 31st through September 3rd, we'll be at the Helium in Philadelphia.
Yes. Hey, yo, Adrian.
You got anything else?
That's all I got.
That's the show, guys.
Spears and Steinberg.
Thanks for listening to the Spears and Steinberg podcast. If you'd like to know who's responsible for this shit, it was hosted by Ari Spears and Andy Steinberg, produced by Steve Merrick and Anthony Holmes, executive producer, Big Papa, Robert Kelly, and Matt Kleinschmidt for the Laugh Button podcast. For more information on where to find us on the internet, visit SpearsburgPod.com.